Today on Talk Jeju, we're talking about the casino industry. As always, Todd Thacker joins me in the studio. Well, Todd, 2014 is drawing to a close, and in the next few Talk Jeju segments, you and I will be looking at kind of the top stories of 2014, and we'll also be spending some time looking forward to maybe what some of the big stories in 2015 will be.
That's exactly right. And actually, I'm really looking forward to today's topic. It's been in the news quite a bit in 2014, but it's sort of the first time we've touched upon it. And it's basically, we're going to be talking about the casino industry here.
Right. And of course, there's a lot of debate, controversy, and frankly, a massive increase in revenue and visitor numbers, the majority from China.
Right. So it seems like a great idea to give a comprehensive review for our viewers about the latest developments in the industry and talk a little bit about the island's 8 casinos.
There's certainly a lot at stake, economically and actually politically. We've also reported here about a number of crimes, such as tax evasion and embezzlement, that have been affecting the industry. So where do you suggest we begin?
Well, I like the way you've divided that up into those categories. So let's start with the economic considerations. So let's consider these numbers for a second. In 2011, casino revenues on the island totaled about 101 billion won. But by 2013, that had jumped to 210 billion won. And for a little bit of context, in 2012, there were some 226,000 tourists who frequented our casinos, and of course, the majority were Chinese.
So that means revenue more than doubled in just 2 years. Massive business. I know just from my own experience in visiting the casinos here a couple times, every time I've been to them, they've been full with gamblers, some of them betting many thousands of dollars per bet.
Wow, that's amazing. I know personally in researching this particular story, I found that, for example, last year, on average, a Jeju casino reportedly earned about 27 billion won. Now, that was the average. The Paradise Casino, for example, took the top spot with 56 billion won in revenue.
And let's not forget that this is a major chunk of Jeju's foreign exchange.
That's right. In 2013, according to the Bank of Korea's Jeju office, nearly $600 million in foreign currency was brought here, and that was nearly double from the year previous to that. And as you might expect, a large chunk of that went straight into the casinos.
And I guess that explains the announcement by the provincial government earlier this year that it was excluding casinos and duty-free shops, by the way, from designation as investment promotion zones and the large tax breaks that kind of a designation entails.
That's very true, and clearly they're trying to head off any kind of potential sources of abuse regarding payment and collection, of course, of tax revenue.
So moving on, let's talk a little bit about the political and legislative issues related to the casino industry. We've seen a number of measures reported in the news regarding moves to deregulate elements of the industry, while on the other hand, we've also seen calls for more industry oversight. So could you kind of straighten that out for us?
Sure, it's a little complex, but first off, let me start by saying, essentially, at present, in Korea, there are no laws regarding regulations and casinos. There are related articles in the Tourism Promotion Act, though, and those. So basically, after consulting with Seoul, the provincial authorities are now looking to establish regulations by adding, a separate provision to the special laws of the province.
And what is the national government's position on the matter?
Well, we've certainly seen overtures from Seoul regarding deregulation in the tourism industry. In 2013, for example, the Special Taxation Act was revised to allow international tourists to receive a 10% refund on their value-added tax payments at hotels. Now, that change will go into effect this January, and it's really expected to increase tourism numbers here.
And I believe the government will also issue kind of time-limited multiple entry visas to tourists from China and Southeast Asia, all in an effort to boost tourism.
Right, and then once they're here, Seoul is granting permission, for example, for Korean registered cruise ships to run casinos, as long as their patrons are exclusively non-Koreans.
Okay.
And back in August, we heard that the central government had announced that it was giving the go-ahead to allow casinos to be built in 4 resorts around the nation, and Jeju's Myths and History theme park was one of those.
And almost immediately at that point, the province came out opposed to that idea, saying it was against the building of any new casinos on the island, at least until there was some kind of a watchdog agency in place to kind of monitor the industry and its massive growth.
Yes, and that's been the position of the governor, Won Hee-ryong. In August, he announced a plan for what he called an international level casino regulatory body.
Mm-hmm.
And that was essentially in order to create and oversee a system that would be necessary for securing taxes from the gaming industry and, of course, implementing standard accounting procedures.
Okay.
So this team that we were talking about, it will be tasked with reviewing the rules governing the renewal of casino business licenses, for example, the approval of ownership transfers when the profits are put back into the province, and then of course approval of the standards in place for administrative punishments when they do identify problems. Now, the introduction of a registration system for casino workers and recruiters is also on the cards.
So when is this new watchdog set to begin work?
Well, the province has done some preliminary work and investigations, but it's now tentatively set at least to launch in February.
Mm-hmm.
And again, they're hoping that this greater oversight will improve management practices and boost tax revenues too for the province.
And that's a good point. I know that we've reported that the island's 8 casinos paid about 17 billion won in taxes in 2013. At first blush, that seems a little low.
Exactly, and provincial officials have said that they think that that number will double with more oversight.
And I guess, that leads us nicely now to the final topic, the issue of crime and the casino industry. So what kinds of problems have we seen recently?
Right, well, for example, in November, we reported that prosecutors had indicted a number of casino workers for allegedly fabricating sales and then pocketing this money. A CEO of one local casino has been charged with setting up and running a paper company, basically from June 2012 through to last December, and apparently he allegedly pocketed about 5 billion won.
And tax evasion, too, is a term we see here in the news a lot these days, and which we just kind of alluded to a minute ago.
Yes, recently 11 casino employees were arrested for allegedly evading taxes by basically over-reporting and using overseas bank accounts and then deliberately under-reporting sales. And that was to the tune of hundreds of millions of won. And then there's also reportedly at least one illegal currency exchange firm working closely with casinos on the island, circumventing tax payments.
So there's certainly a lot on this new watchdog's plate in the new year. Thank you, Todd, for this update, and hope to see you back here soon.
My pleasure, thanks.
If you have any questions or comments, please email them to talkjeju@kctvcheju.com. Thank you for tuning in today, and I hope you'll join us next week at the same time. If you can't wait until then, though, visit us online at eng.kctvcheju.com or follow us on Facebook. 시청자 여러분, 고맙습니다.